Now, file sharing may sound like an innocent pursuit, but according to the singer Lily Allen, it could kill off contemporary music.
So she's launched an online campaign against music piracy on the net. She's recruited some big names to back it, including Gary Barlow from Take That and James Blunt. But can he persuade teenagers not to swap music downloads?
Yes, with us now, the hip-hop star speaks to Bell, who's just won, of course, the Mercury Music Prize, and here too is Radiohead's guitarist Ed O'Brien. Good morning to both of
Hello.
you. Thanks very much for coming in. Ed, where do you stand on the idea of people who are fans of your music, who sat at home and they want to share it? Do you want them dealt with?
Firstly, you know, I personally believe that file sharing is it's a problem, and it's not something I'm in favour of. But, you know, I have to remember when I was a kid, when we were kids, we used to take the top 40. We used to give C90s to one another, and it was all quite innocent. It was in the spirit of discovering new music. So in that sense, I don't have such a problem with it. I have a problem with persistent, you know, abusers of file sharing, people who are trying to make money out of it, you know, websites, absolutely, these people. But in terms of the innocent, you know, the passive file sharer, I think we have to give a bit of leeway, because there's a lot of evidence to suggest that actually these people go on and spend a lot of money on music themselves. So, you know.
That speech, you're now a Mercury Prize winner. Congratulations, by the way, because you came into us before. So now everybody knows who you are. But before that, did you think it was a good idea for people to share your music online so that word got round, people knew who you were?
To some extent. You know, with file sharing in the beginning, it could have been good, because people hear the songs, and, you know, they file share the songs. If they like it, they might come down to a show, and if they come down to a show, they might buy a CD. But what gradually happened was that to go and do shows became difficult, because I've got to pay for a tour that the money hasn't come in from CDs, because people aren't buying the CDs, do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's good in a way that people get to hear the music, but it means that, you know, it's very difficult for me to actually go out and tour or do things that are necessary, because there's just not the money coming in.
But Speech, do you think, I mean, you're probably closer to this than any of us are in terms of the generation that's just grown up doing this naturally, but is it realistic to stop anyone doing it now? It's just, that's just ingrained. Music lovers share music that way. That is what they do. I mean, how do you think it's realistic to try and stop that now, to put a lid on something which is effectively already out there?
No, I don't think so. I don't think nothing's impossible. There's a lot of young people, there's so many young people that want to do music. You go to any school, any college, and, you know, 80% would want to take part in music somehow. I think if they knew that if they file share, it's not going to happen, then, you know, that might persuade them to stop.
Do you embrace it in some respect, the way that teenagers are getting music online? I mean, you put your album online and said, pay whatever you think it's worth, and that was seen as quite groundbreaking within the music industry. Is your feeling that Radiohead and other bands should use the internet more effectively?
Well, our response was just realising that it was the norm. It's not the ideal response, because, you know, we don't want our albums to have been leaked online before they're released, so that's a real pain. But I think what a lot of artists are feeling is that, like what Speech said, is that I think you can educate people. And what's brilliant, what Lily's done is brilliant. She's brought it massively to the agenda. This is the first time artists are saying, hang on a sec, you know, if you do illegal file share, there is a consequence to your actions. And I think, you know, as Speech was saying, so many teenagers and young people identify with musicians and maybe aspire to do that, that they will understand finally that actually, you know, artists are taking a knock on this, and young artists like Speech especially. I mean, you know, old farts like myself have, you know, we don't have so much to worry about, but it's really vital that this, and the government have to be applauded on this. They're addressing the situation.
Do you think, though, Ed, there is an ambivalence there? Because I know your first answer, you said that, you know, you remember the time when you used to tape things. Speech just talked about friends doing it. And in a way, a lot of the artists seem to be saying there's a kind of harmless element to it, which is youngsters doing this in their bedrooms, and that's fine. But that makes it very difficult to deal with, doesn't it? Because who is the first teenager who's going to be hauled up in front of the regulator and taken to task?
Well, you said it exactly there, and we agree with the industry 99.9%, and the one area we disagree is on exactly that. What do you do with a persistent file share? And at the moment, the industry has said you suspend their internet accounts, and we say this isn't possible, this isn't feasible. You know, the kind of technical measures that are required to implement this are, you know, you're getting into very dodgy areas of civil liberties, the kind of tracker software. The second thing is, you know, it costs a lot of money to do that. And the third thing, even if you do that, you're going to drive a lot of people underground into dark nets and, you know, all sorts of stuff that you really don't need to do. And it's exactly that. Our problem has been, how do you differentiate between, you know, between a serial user and somebody who does it in the spirit of discovery?
All right, we've got to leave it there. Thank you very much. Speech, Ed, nice to see you both.
Thank you very much.